And they don't have to come to me. We got Daniel on the set. So let's welcome Daniel to the show from ESPN, covers the Browns. Just finished his first year on the beat. So, Daniel, I want to ask you this. We had you in during the season. Was your first year on the Cleveland Browns beat what you anticipated, better than expected?
Stole my question. I had a spin-off of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was told to be prepared. I don't think that any of the warning could have properly got me ready for what took place over the last 6-7 months. But it was entertaining for sure.
So what was your
taste, man?
What was your oh shit moment of? This is what they were talking about.
True. Where do we start?
I thought you'd have one come to mind right away. No,
but there were just so many.
Yeah.
Like there was obviously the first game of the year. And again, we were out there at training camp. We saw, we saw. I mean, like I didn't want to like be the new guy that was kind of raising the alarm.
You don't want to be the one saying the emperor has no clothes because you just got here.
Yeah, I didn't want to be like an alarmist, but you did see that this offense might go through some troubles, but not that bad. So maybe the first game. And then obviously, Deshaun goes down, and then there's that brief spark of hope when Jameis comes in, and he upsets the Browns. Upsets the Ravens and the Steelers. And then we get to QB 40 by the end of the year, and you're just like, yeah, okay, this is what it is.
So where are you at now with the whole number 2 pick? Where? Because everybody's you see the Shador's recruiting Cleveland, which is
he?
Yeah.
Or is he? I don't know. I feel like he's trolling a little bit.
You think he trolling?
Do y'all play Madden?
Yeah.
You play with the Browns?
They're terrible.
Yeah, they're terrible.
You play with the
I have played with them. I don't choose to play with them.
That's what I'm saying. Like no disrespect, but like I don't choose to play the Browns on Madden. Like if I'm doing my career and I want to start at quarterback, like I'm gonna go to the Browns, but I'm not picking the I thought that was trolling. It's almost like a little too much smoke, to be honest. Like,
but isn't he just trying to go 2?
Why does it matter?
I agree with you. I agree with that. I agree with that, but I think guys want to go as high as, and if he knows he's not going 1, he wants to go 2. I would rather go fit than spot.
And that's what I'm thinking as well. So it's like, if you go 2, and he alluded to that as well, where he was like, "Why? I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter to me if I don't go 1, because it might not be the best fit." He said that on Radio Row. He was like, "I might go 1, but it's not the best fit. I might go 2, but it's not the best fit. I might go 3. I might go 6." So like when he's talking about, I know there's a lot of smoke because of the comments that Andrew Berry has made about not being worried about Deion's influence, and Shador kind of joking around about this stuff, but I think it's all just kind of just entertainment and filling the void right now.
I can't keep up with it all, if I'm being totally honest, because we've shown the tweet. Deion tweeted in 2018, "I don't let anybody go to Cleveland."
Yeah,
and he said on multiple interviews prior to more recently, like, "Yeah, I'm going to be involved. It's my son, of course. It's my son. I'm going to make sure that he winds up in a good." And now all of a sudden they're openly campaigning. And maybe trolling, but still mentioning it. It just feels to me like they've been talking out of both sides of their mouth.
It does feel like that. And again, like we're still so far away.
Yeah.
Like, obviously he talked about having his first meeting, his first pre-30 visit with the Browns. Like, does that really mean anything? I mean, he's going to visit all these teams that need quarterbacks. So it just so happens that it's Cleveland first. Maybe that's a scheduling thing. So I don't want to make too much of it, but it does make for a lot of fun on social media.
Dan, do you think that there is one quarterback in this draft that the Browns are targeting?
I don't know for sure. Obviously, like when you're around the draft season, like you get a lot of smoke screens. You get a lot of people kind of, a lot of subterfuge, if I'm pronouncing it right. But the general consensus is what we've been hearing, that these 2 quarterbacks, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, wouldn't necessarily be in that same tier as maybe the tier 1 of last year when we're talking about Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May. I've talked to scouts as well that have said that they'd be, this year's top of the quarterback class would be compared more to Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, and really Bo Nix, who went 12 and was a 6th quarterback. But the way I feel about it is, I'll start here. I feel like the Browns' clearest and most feasible way out of this kind of quarterback mess is to draft a quarterback and develop them. So if there is a guy at 2 that you feel confident in, like I don't see any difference taking the guy that you feel confident in at 2 as opposed to 10 or 12. But I will say that if you are not sold on the guy, then you can't do it. If there's not complete buy-in from ownership, from the front office, from the coaching staff, about doing the best to take that player and build an infrastructure around him that brings the best out of that player. If there's people on, that if there's a faction or a group that's like, nah, I'm not with it. I don't think that you can go that route. I would take a quarterback at 2 if you feel pretty good about it. I understand that it might not be like the best player available, but the way like these boards are set up anyway is like it's best player available, but it's also like by need, so factored in need. So the way that it was described to me is, let's say cornerback, like it was the explanation that was given to me was a couple years ago, maybe last year. Like let's say the Browns were taking that down in the first round. Their board would have been set up in a way that they probably wouldn't have even have been in a position to take a cornerback, because they already had, Denzel, and Martin Emerson and Greg Newsome. So right now, quarterback is obviously the biggest need. These might not be the best players in the draft, but when you factor in need and their talent level, I don't see a problem with taking a quarterback at 2 if you believe in them.
If you sit here and check off, what does Kevin want in a quarterback? I think Shedeur checks quite a few of those boxes. Accurate, good decision maker, doesn't throw it to the other team. So I could build a case for Shedeur at 2 easily. And then there's other things about holding the ball too long. Is he too small? Is he trying to play Superman and do things that he gets outside of himself? That was one of the knocks on Baker, was he's trying to play like Mahomes. He's not Mahomes and Josh Allen. He's Baker Mayfield. Where do you fall on that? Do you think Shedeur is the type of quarterback that Kevin would want to run a system? I
think he's the archetype for this offense, and that's why I think that we're seeing a lot of kind of this smoke and people talking about Shedeur coming to Cleveland. Like you said, when you talk about the accuracy, when you talk about the anticipation, you talk about playing in structure. That's the main thing, playing in structure and within the confines of the offense. That's what Shedeur does. And he's talked about wanting to do that. I was at the Shrine Bowl out in Texas, and he talked about wanting to be a decision maker, wanting to stay in the pocket and make quick decisions. He's not a perfect prospect by any means. He has held on to the ball a lot. I watched a ton of Colorado football the past 2 years, and he does have a tendency to hold on to the ball. Now, as part of that, like you said, playing Superman because of a less than stellar offensive line, a really, unreliable running game. Yeah, but I think that you could also kind of coach some of that stuff, because I think that at its truest sense, like he wants to play in rhythm, kind of Tom Brady-esque type of play. But then when you look at the lack of maybe upper tier athletic traits, like the arm talent, the arm strength, he's not a Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson type of athlete. Neither really is Cam Ward, but he's a little more athletic and can do more out of structure. But he doesn't have that rocket arm. He's not going to be a guy that you're running him in the zone read 10 times a game because he can do that. So that's what you have to kind of balance. Like, all right, you have a pretty high floor for this guy because he plays the quarterback position so well, but are those athletic traits going to kind of limit the ceiling and maybe cause problems down the road?
All right, Daniel. So the Browns have royally screwed this up with the Deshaun Watson trade. We know that. They put themselves in cap hell. They've got limited resources here. How can they be a playoff team next year? Can they be a playoff team next year? How soon can they compete again?
That's crazy, because I got a story coming out, I think, next week about the 5 things they need.
Tease.
Yeah. It's so funny because I'm sure we're gonna talk about Myles soon. It's so funny to hear Myles say that, like, this team isn't aligned with winning right now, and then you got like every other player on the Browns. It's like, no, like we can win very, very soon. And most of the guys, Denzel has said it, David Njoku has said it, and now I'm seeing this clip of Greg Newsome. It's like we just need a healthy starting quarterback play, and obviously you start with that. Like, if you can just get some consistency, you don't need, obviously, like, if you want to be a Super Bowl team, you need elite quarterback play. But I'd say to get back to the playoffs, you need stable, consistent quarterback play. Obviously, we talk about how last year they won 11 games and they made the playoffs. This is an older team. They're a year older now. Guys aren't playing up to the standard that maybe we anticipated. So it's not like you're just going to put a quarterback in and then say, like, let's get it rolling. You do have to upgrade this roster, and I'm very interested to see how they do that. They always know how to maneuver the cap, open cap space, but it's not like they're the Patriots or the Commanders, and they're just going to have money to just throw around willy-nilly. So I am very curious to see, like, specifically what positions they target and who they target. Because if it was me, I'd put a lot of resources into the offense. Obviously, they're probably going to sign a veteran quarterback, but not only that, but getting playmakers around the quarterback. I don't know what they're going to do with the offensive line. They've made changes in terms of the coaching staff, and I think that for the most part, like they regressed as a unit. But I think a lot of that was because of the changes on the offense. And I would think that getting back to a system that they're more familiar with in 2025 would, allow them to play a little bit better. Obviously, you could make some additions and some upgrades, but I would really work on getting the quarterback and getting the skill positions up to par.
So what would you brought up Myles. What would you do with Myles? How would you handle that situation? Guy wants out of Cleveland, your DPOY. Would you go ahead and, since he's 29, would you be like, all right, give me whatever, or would you try to make it work?
If I'm the Browns, so this is the thing. If I was this regime and I was in the first or second year of this kind of regime, I would be way more open to it than if I was the position that this current regime is right now. Because let's be honest, they're kind of competing for their jobs in 2025. Like they're not going to survive another 3-win season. Financially, it just makes it really tough to trade Myles like until June 1st. Because the way that the dead cap is going to be split up, I just kind of move as business as usual. And if Myles wants to, hold out, he said that he's willing to do whatever to get out of Cleveland. Okay, like do what you got to do then. And then if we got to get to that point, we'll handle it now. But I'd operate as business as usual and just kind of go take on the offseason. No, as if he didn't make the request.
What is this team's biggest need outside of quarterback?
That's a good question. It's like where?
I know, right?
Yeah, I talked to somebody in the organization, and I was like, what would you? I was like, outside of quarterback, what would you say? They were like, we're not in a position to say no to any position.
Yeah.
I mean, I really probably.
And, okay, so stop right there. We're not in a position to say no to any position, and yet everyone's saying we're a quarterback away. So which is it?
I mean, it's probably somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Like a quarterback.
I think it is a total teardown at this point. I think because of age and because of where things are at, realistically speaking, to me, there's a difference in playoff contender and Super Bowl contender. If you're just trying to go to the playoffs, fine. Yeah. If you're trying to win a Super Bowl, this team is not ready. This team's not close. They missed their window. Deshaun cost them the window to be a Super Bowl contender with this group. That's just my opinion, but we're getting off traffic. So I'll go back to biggest need outside of quarterback, and where do you go from there?
Yeah, it's so tough because I feel like there's no outside of quarterback. There's no like glaring need. Like if they
tackle.
I mean, yeah, but it's like where are you gonna find a quality starting like those? It's kind of like with quarterbacks. Like it's not like those guys are just hitting the market. I mean, maybe Ronnie Stanley,
running back.
But I mean, you can get a quality running back in the draft. Like I would say, honestly, I'd like to see them. I feel like every offseason we're talking about this with the Browns, but I'd like to see them go out and get another wide receiver. Obviously, Jerry Jeudy, had a breakout season, and he's going to be in the fold for a little bit. But I'd like to see them pair him up with somebody. I don't know, like a Marquise Brown or a Darius Slayton. Like they're not gonna like the wide receiver market in free agency isn't really like unless you're maybe trading for a guy. The upcoming free agents like are either old or injury riddled, but like maybe the Browns have been really good on kind of like buying low on guys and it being a nice low payoff. So if you can get a Marquise Brown on a 1-year deal, who's a field stretcher, a Darius Slayton who's a really a vertical deep guy, something like that, and then you kind of figure out quarterback and get some consistent play there. You can because we saw like when Jameis was in there, Jameis was throwing the ball to the other team a lot, but he was giving his guys opportunities and they were producing.
Yeah.
We had Stump on as you were coming in. I'm sure you weren't able to catch any of it. He's very concerned about this offensive line, very concerned about left tackle. And I'm just wondering, how wise is it to throw a rookie quarterback into a line? I don't know if Jack Conklin's coming back. He's got no guaranteed money on his deal, right, going forward. DeJuan Jones, Jay saw him at the Sports Awards and said he looked great, which was a relief because I've been saying all along, is DeJuan going to show up at 415 or is he going to show up at 350? I have no idea. Yeah. It's 50-50 to me which one. And if he gets hurt again, which at that size, chances are there's going to be some sort of injury
and there's a history now, too, as well. Yeah.
The guards are getting older. Wyatt's had a ton of injuries, ton of calf injuries. Joel at the back. Posick wasn't as good. So across the entire offensive line, you could look at it and go, man, where do you feel good and where do you need? I guess it can. I agree. Like if I've said all along, if you got the quarterback at 2, take him. If there's a guy there you like, you take him.
Yeah.
But there is a concern about putting a young guy behind an offensive line that I don't think is elite anymore. I don't think it's terrible.
Yeah, it's not what it was maybe 3 years ago or so. I feel a little bit better about the offensive line. You know, if you like some of the metrics, some like the deeper metrics say that like Jack was pretty good, you know, in the second half of the year. Like we saw what he did against TJ Watt, not getting a ton of help and really locking him down. It seemed like as he got back from his injuries, he got a little more comfortable. Same thing with Wyatt. You know, he had the knee sprain and he was kind of getting back to form. But if you look at some of like the deeper like ESPN metrics, the run block win rate, the pass block win rate, like they were still very serviceable. Maybe not elite, but very serviceable. And that's why I say, like, all right, they might be a year older, but you get back to a system that they are confident in. They essentially majored in over the first 4 years with Stefanski before this change last year. I feel a little bit better about that. Now, left tackle, that is dicey because you can't count on DeJuan right now just because of the injury history. Like it is what it is. 2 years in the NFL, 2 years his season ending to injury. But again, like with only so much room to make changes, to add guys and free agency in the draft, you gotta pick and choose where you're really gonna invest those resources.
So
into.
if they took the number 2 pick and they drafted Will Campbell out of LSU, you would say.
I mean, I'll say, all right. You say, all right. Like, so this is my thing, because we go back to quarterback. Like, I understand people saying don't take a quarterback at 2, but my response to that is who's playing quarterback now?
Yeah.
I keep on saying that. And I understand that these might not be perfect prospects, but if you don't figure out quarterback, I keep on saying it, like, this offseason is quarterback or bust. Right. You got to find some type of answer or solution to the quarterback position in 2025.
There's no way they go through next season without drafting a quarterback of the future, right?
Oh, I would think take 2. They're so bad at this. Take 2.
I would think at some point they take a quarterback, but it's like most times, like if you look at obviously like you have the Jalen Hurts and you have the Dak, you know, but Purdy. Most times like you're taking a quarterback in the first round and usually at the top of the first round. So it's like you almost have to temper expectations if you take a guy out of round 1. Maybe, you know, if you take a guy round 3, round 4, like. Yeah, he might be a good developmental guy, but it's usually like you're taking a guy at quarterback at the top of the draft because he is the most pro-ready guy. He's the most high-ceiling guy. He has the most tools, and you work with that. And again, the top of this draft isn't perfect. Like again, we all agree on that. But if you feel pretty good, and you know, just my non-expert opinion, like I feel pretty good on Shedeur. I say you take a quarterback and you kind of roll the dice, especially like this is a make or break year, honestly, for this regime.
Daniel, if they don't have at the end of the year a quarterback they feel like they can go with for the upcoming foreseeable future,
they're fired.
And yeah, they're going to be gone, right?
They're fired.
I mean, if they win 3 games again next year,
they're fired.
And they don't
have
a quarterback.
They're not making it through the year if they make 3. If they're on pace
so
for 3 games.
Why the hell would they not just say? I don't give a rip who the quarterback is. Whoever the best guy is you think you have to have, like there's one guy, take him at 2. I don't care. Take Jackson Dart at 2. Take Milroe. I don't really care.
I guess because you can't.
Because if they get it wrong, they're gone.
That's true. That's true.
There's literally it's house money.
Yeah.
That's true. But if you I'm sure if you asked Andrew Berry, he would say like, you know, we still got to stick to a process. Yeah. No matter like you don't want to
process these.
You don't want to make hasty decisions just off of, you know, what your perceived job security may be, and I get that. But again, I go back to it. The probably quickest way out of this is to draft a quarterback that outperforms the rookie contract and allows you to feel good about having the most important position on the field locked in at a very low price. And, you know, you're at 2, you got that option.
McNuggets got something for you.
So, Daniel, I've worked in a
Sick of
bunch
him
of
throwing
different
his hand
newsrooms,
up.
including here, and every place you work, you have a group chat. And I'm not quite sure ESPN's probably too big to have a 500-person group chat, but I know at The Athletic and Jason, they have a Slack
They got
channel.
Slacks. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, Daniel, when the Browns come up in the ESPN group chat, what's the reaction typically to some of the stuff involving the team you cover?
A lot of laughing emojis, a lot of question marks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you're almost like not surprised anymore.
Yeah.
Like I think I was like almost a little bit surprised like for half the season, and I'm like stuff pops up and I'm like, oh, this is what to expect. Like I'm not gonna lie, the Myles news kind of caught me off guard.
You thought with the request?
The request caught me off guard.
Really?
Well, the request caught me off guard because truthfully, I feel like some of the messaging from Myles hasn't been consistent.
That's fair.
That's fair, but like after his last game,
No. I mean, yes.
I said
but-
he go.
Yeah, but I remember asking Myles, because working on a story with Jeremy Fowler, and I asked Myles, because leading up to like halfway through the year, he was saying, I want to retire here, I want to be here. So I asked him, why do you have so much faith in the current regime, specifically Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry? And he spoke about that, and he said, as long as they're here making the decisions, I want to be here. And I'm like, cool. 1 week later, he's asked about wanting to hear the offseason plans, and it was a completely different tune. And he was like, yeah, I want to be loyal to this team, but I don't want to go through a rebuild. And that's the first time I was kind of like,
You see what he's saying right now?
interesting.
Media member.
What?
That's because he's a media guy. That's why the answers. If I would have asked Myles, he would have straight up said, "Yeah, I'm cool. But see, because he's with the media,
This guy thinks he's
I'm
not,
telling you,
he thinks he's not a media member
he
anymore. 'cause he's a
just
former
literally
player.
confirmed what I'll be saying.
So there was a little bit of kind of talking out of both sides of the mouth, and
Yes.
then there was the Hard Knocks clip where he's like doing a sit down interview, and he says, talking to AB, we're closer than people might think we are. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, like he might be here to stay. And then obviously there was that came, I don't remember if that came after or before the comments that he made after the final game of the year, where he said, well, something's gonna happen.
Right.
So again,
He's all over the place.
So the messaging has been a little kind
That's
of
fair.
back and forth. So that's why it caught me by surprise a little bit. But obviously, at some point he had a discussion with the higher ups, and whatever they said, he didn't like it. Whatever they said, he didn't like it. Yeah.
I just remembered, you're a Baltimore kid, right? Grew up in Baltimore, covered the Ravens.
Yeah.
What do you think of Justin Tugger?
Oh man.
Speaking of like catching you off guard, how surprised?
I was shocked. Like that's a guy that is he's almost like a Baltimore legend. Like I get my hair cut and they talking about Justin. They're like, hey, like I saw Justin Tucker at the cigar bar, I saw him on that's how shocking it was, honestly. But it just goes to show, like, we don't know these people,
What is the reaction in Baltimore right now to what's going on?
Obviously, there's a lot of disappointment. Not only with the player over these allegations, but with the team, because this is stuff that is dating to like his first 4 or 5 years in the NFL. And the report, the very well reported piece by the Baltimore Banner, the local outlet down over there, it seems like some of this was at some point brought to the attention of the team. And now is it 16 allegations? Like
It's a lot. I mean, do you
it's
think,
double-digit allegations.
Do you think that's the reason he's performed poorly? Is it on his mind? I mean,
some people brought that up. Some people brought that up.
I mean, if you watch the guy play, he looks like a different player.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I was watching from afar this year when those struggles. People like up close kind of brought that. Like it seemed like he had a lot kind of mentally weighing on him, just kind of the look in his eyes and whatnot. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all.
Sorry to corner you there. Well, that was this guy.
Now you
Yeah, I
good.
was about to say that.
Bringing it up. He covers the team. He covers the
That
division.
was a shock.
That's messed up, though. That's one of them subjects,
We had to deal with it for a year and a half.
Fair enough.
I
And
can't
so
ask
is
him
he.
one
True
question about it.
story.
It actually was mostly done by
Point
the time Daniel
concern.
got here. He avoided that whole part of the Browns chaos.
That's a great point.
Yeah, that was
Before Deshaun ever stepped on the field, man, it was like politics.
Yeah.
And you were on one side or the other, and it was really
Still was, first half of the year.
Yeah, true. But I mean, now everyone's realized the guy he's hurt, can't play.
They're all kind of. I think fans. Obviously, the organization is kind of starting to.
It's trying to move on from
Yeah.
the guy. So next year, what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson? Like, is he going to be on the roster?
I mean, he'll be on the roster, but
Will they keep him at? Will they say just stay home?
I mean, he's rehabbing again, so
He's rehabbing here.
Will
he rehab here?
I guess I'm assuming it's the same
Yeah.
thing it was before he retore the ACL. So retore the Achilles. So he was like splitting time between Miami and Cleveland. And
I don't believe anything the Browns say. So
yeah, I mean, the timing,
just for what it was.
timing of it all was very weird, and because I don't know, I started getting conspiracy theory vibes, but I did talk to people in the organization. They were like, nah, because the timing of it was weird because they restructured the deal, or they kind of redid the deal or whatever, late December, a couple of days before the new year, and everyone was kind of like, well, what did they do to the contract? Why did they need to do this to the contract? And then 2 weeks later, it's like, oh, by the way, he's got this injury that's going to keep him out for another year probably. So I don't know, it was all kind of weird, but yeah, I mean, he'll be rehabbing. He'll probably be on PUP, I guess.
Would you be surprised if he ever takes a snap in the league again? I would. I personally would. I mean, if he's going to be out for another year.
You'd be surprised if he ever take another snap.
I would.
I would not, actually.
Who's going to take a chance on him?
Yeah, I mean,
with all the baggage,
pick him up,
it's low risk.
But there's so much baggage.
The risk is having him on the roster.
I don't think he'll ever step foot in the Browns building again. I think he's done.
Oh, step foot inside.
I mean, he might
He go rehab.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he might
Rehab here? He didn't rehab here when he was.
He did. He was back and forth. That's what allegedly.
Kevin said he was scooting around.
Allegedly.
He was scooting around.
He wasn't even hardly here with the shoulder a couple years ago.
He was in the stands. In L.A., they was
hardly
in
Cleveland.
He was in the
when he was the future of the position.
He was in.
I mean, maybe it's. I don't think he'll ever be part of this ever again.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be back to collect his things, but I don't think he'll ever.
What does he have to gain from ever playing again?
Nothing.
He don't.
There's no more money.
Just love of the game. Like
What you mean?
Love of the game.
No more money.
Nobody want to go out on a bad note. The last thing people gonna remember is
Carted off the field.
Yeah, and they're also going to remember all this stuff forever. So, what I mean,
I
you want to go back out there with after the shoulder injury and the Achilles, and you got the bag already? Like, dude, come on, he's not an idiot.
Yeah, I'm going out there.
You're nuts.
Are you kidding me?